On March 1, 2004, Kathleen Savio, the third wife of Bolingbrook, Illinois, police officer Drew Peterson, was found dead in her bathtub. The scene looked strange. Her body was discovered in a dry bathtub with a gash on her head. The official ruling? An accidental drowning, despite no water being present. At the time, Kathleen and Drew had been going through a contentious divorce, and she had repeatedly told friends and family she feared for her life. However, with Peterson being a respected police officer, no charges were filed, and the case was closed. 3 years later, in October 2007, Stacy Peterson, Drew's fourth wife, mysteriously vanished without a trace. Drew, then 53, claimed that 23-year-old Stacy had run away, leaving behind their young children. But Stacy's family didn't believe it. Before she disappeared, Stacy had confided in her pastor that Drew had killed Kathleen Savio, a shocking revelation that reignited interest in Kathleen's case. With Stacy missing and presumed dead, authorities exhumed Kathleen Savio's body for a second autopsy in 2007. This time, the results were clear. Kathleen had been murdered. The injuries on her body suggested she had been forcefully drowned and beaten, leading investigators to conclude that her 2004 death was not an accident, but a homicide. In 2009, 5 years after Kathleen's death and 2 years after Stacy vanished, Drew Peterson was finally arrested and charged with Kathleen's murder. Despite Stacy's body never being found, prosecutors built a case using forensic evidence and damning witness testimonies, including statements from Stacy before she disappeared. In 2012, Drew Peterson was convicted of Kathleen Savio's murder and sentenced to 38 years in prison. But his legal troubles didn't end there. In 2016, he was also convicted of trying to hire a hitman to kill the prosecutor who put him behind bars, adding another 40 years to his sentence. The Drew Peterson case is a terrifying example of power, manipulation, and a system that initially failed to protect victims. Kathleen Savio's murder might have gone unsolved forever if Stacy Peterson hadn't vanished, forcing authorities to reopen the case. Stacy's body has never been found, but her disappearance ultimately led to justice for another victim. Today, Drew Peterson remains in prison, his fall from a respected police officer to convicted killer serving as a chilling reminder that sometimes the people meant to protect us are the ones we should fear the most. On July 19, 2004, 27-year-old Lori Hacking, 5 weeks pregnant, was reported missing by her husband, Mark Hacking. He claimed she had gone for an early morning jog in Memory Grove Park and never returned. Her family, friends, and police launched an extensive search effort, combing the park and surrounding areas in hopes of finding her. However, as investigators began piecing together Lori's final days, Mark's story started to unravel. Authorities discovered that Mark had been living a double life, fabricating almost everything about his future. Mark Hacking had told his wife, family, and friends that he had been accepted into the University of North Carolina's medical school and that they would soon be moving. However, investigators soon learned that Mark had never even graduated college. He had dropped out of the University of Utah years earlier, but had been lying to everyone about his academic success. The discovery of Mark's elaborate deception led police to believe that Lori had learned the truth and confronted him. The timing of her disappearance suggested that she may have been murdered to prevent his lies from being exposed. As suspicions grew, police found a blood-stained mattress in the Hacking's apartment and retrieved surveillance footage from a local store showing Mark purchasing a new mattress the morning of Lori's disappearance, before he even reported her missing. Investigators suspected that Mark had killed Lori in their home, disposed of her body, and attempted to cover up the crime. Just weeks later, Mark Hacking confessed to his brothers from a psychiatric hospital, admitting that he had shot Lori in the head while she slept and dumped her body in a dumpster. His confession led authorities to a landfill, where, after months of searching through thousands of tons of waste, Lori's remains were finally discovered in October 2004. In April 2005, Mark Hacking pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. During sentencing, Lori's devastated family spoke about the pain of losing her and the betrayal they felt from someone they had trusted. Mark was sentenced to 6 years to life in prison, with the possibility of parole. The murder of Lori Hacking is a tragic reminder of how deception can spiral into deadly consequences. What seemed like a young couple planning a promising future together turned into a story of cold-blooded murder. all because Mark could not face the consequences of his lies. Lori's family has since worked to honor her memory, advocating for victims of domestic violence and deception. The case continues to serve as an example of how lies, no matter how well hidden, can eventually come to light, with devastating results. The world knew Oscar Pistorius as an inspirational athlete, a double amputee sprinter who defied the odds to compete in the Olympics. But on February 14, 2013, he became known for something far darker: the murder of his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. According to Oscar, he awoke in the early morning hours believing an intruder had broken into his Pretoria home. Grabbing his gun, he fired 4 shots through the bathroom door, only to discover he had killed Riva, his 29-year-old model and law graduate girlfriend. But investigators didn't buy his story. The prosecution argued that Riva had locked herself in the bathroom after an argument with Oscar, and that he shot intentionally in a fit of rage. Neighbors reported hearing screams before the gunshots, contradicting Pistorius's version of events. The trial captivated the world, filled with emotional testimonies, expert forensic analysis, and Pistorius's tearful defense. In 2014, he was convicted of culpable homicide, a lesser charge akin to manslaughter, and sentenced to 5 years in prison. But the story didn't end there. After appeals and legal battles, his conviction was upgraded to murder, and in 2017, Pistorius was sentenced to 13 years and 5 months in prison. A champion once celebrated for his achievements had fallen from grace, his legacy forever overshadowed by a tragic Valentine's Day killing. And for Riva Steenkamp's family, no sentence could undo the loss of a beloved daughter and rising star.